That got disconnected. Hello?
Yeah, it's got disconnected. Just I'm asking one guest to join again.
Okay.
Hello.
Sorry, Mangesh, it's got disconnected. Can you go ahead and share your screen now?
Okay.
Yeah, you can continue.
Mm, sorry. Okay. So I was explaining about if you comes with the 10 years of experience in the managing the on-premises, you're already aware about the basic stuffs which is required for the Azure learning the Azure. So the same whatever you have the physical servers in on-premises, like you have the disk for storage, you have the physical server for the deploying the application, and then you have the NIC cards and connecting to the switches and L2 switch, and then it is connecting back to the L3 switches and then router. So same whatever you have the physical, it has the same the relevant services in Azure. So in Azure for the having the physical server, like if you want to deploy any application, you'll be creating the virtual machine. So if you take the example of storing your applications data, then you have the Azure storage account. Then for networking part in Azure, you have the VNet and the subnets. So the concept is same, just the terminology is different, and it's very easy in Azure compared to on-premises because you need to manage everything in on-premises. Whereas in Azure, you are just using that particular service, just consuming the service from Azure. So Azure, which is managed by Microsoft, they will take care of all the underlying data center racking and the maintaining the temperature, everything. So you are just working on the services. So you'll find it very easy. It's just that Microsoft Azure has pro. I think my voice is echoing. Can all of you mute, please?
Can you go ahead now?
Hello. Yeah. Now it is not echoing
Yeah, it's
for me.
fine now.
So once you like follow all the course the sessions, like you will be covering the fundamentals, and then we'll be moving towards creating and managing the virtual machines, network storage. You'll feel confident, and if you do complete all of your labs, that I'll be presenting it to you. So once you do it on your behalf, independently, you'll feel it more easy, and very much you can relate with your whatever you're doing in on premises. So is that answers your doubt?
Yeah, Mangesh. See, what I am
Okay.
worried is we have 10 plus years of experience. We will go with the Azure. It will take at least one few months to get used to it or get used
Yeah,
to each terminology and all.
yeah.
So that's what I'm getting confused whether we'll be getting into that.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's why. So Azure is like, ocean. So there are hundreds of services. Every day Microsoft is adding a lot of services, and it's a never ending. If you start one topic, you will get structured plan. So what things you are interested in? Like I said, if you start studying about all of this, the past, you'll get confused. But you need to structured and think about what you want to do. So if you comes with the Wintel administrator or VMware part, you can attend the complete course from which is delivered by me, like AZ 900. I'll be covering AZ 900 and AZ 104. So you'll be confident on how to manage the Azure. And once it will take some time. So after the end of the course, I think it will take 1 or 2 months. After that, you need to do the practice also. I'll be sharing a very good content, or a very good book to for to go deeper into the subject. And after this, I think in our course we'll also present the labs and some live case studies. So I will try to create some live case study, which will combine all the services. So if you go to any other course, they will just teach you as per the course curriculum. So whatever is mentioned in this particular course, they will just teach you that, and they will not cover much of the hands-on labs or the live case studies. But I will try to create the case studies in that multiple components are involved for delivering that particular project. So if you do that, the you'll feel more confidence, and your company, if there are certain opportunities with respect to Azure, you can show that you are certified and you have the knowledge, and I think you can easily crack the okay.
Okay, Naresh.
So I will move to the uh, yeah. So as I mentioned, we'll be covering the real life case studies. So there will be live projects based on any of the selected use cases. So we will try to combine the multiple components, and we'll try to create the standard the project which is you can find in any of the production deployments. So it involves the implementation of various Microsoft Azure Azure 104 concepts. Then each class. So after end of the each module, there will be the practical assignment. So assignment is nothing but the hands-on labs. So I will provide you that hands-on labs manual. So this comes with the official the Microsoft the the Microsoft Azure certification guidelines. So that assignment, I'll be providing it to you, so that that step by step you can follow. I will explain you, how to follow that particular the lab. So initially, for a couple of labs, I will explain you how to follow it, by doing it from my console, and you'll feel it, very confident by doing it independently from your machine. So after completing the assignment, you will gain the whatever we have teach in the theoretical, you will understand it more detail in practical. As I mentioned, the prerequisites are you should be a IT administrator or developer. So if it comes with IT administrator, you can easily correlate the things for Azure and you can learn it. If you comes with a developer and if you want to do a career in Azure development, still you need to complete this course to understand the foundation concepts for Azure. Then you should be working with some Microsoft technologies or cloud computing. This is optional, but if you worked on Windows servers, file servers, Azure Active Directory, the Exchange server, I think you can easily understand. So this is the prerequisites. Next is before explaining about the course curriculum, let me just tell you
Your voice is
cloud
breaking little.
computing and
Yeah.
what is Microsoft Azure. Then in this demo session, okay, is it fine now? Hello, is it fine?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, so the in this demo, I'll explain you about the course structure. What are the different modules, and in the respective models. So before I explain you about the core structure, let me tell you about the fundamentals of cloud computing and what is Microsoft Azure. Then I will take you through the course structure. So what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is the delivery of computing services. So it involves server, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, intelligence, and there are thousands of services. Okay, so any services that you're deploying in on premises or the private cloud, all the services are available in the cloud providers. So this services that are delivered to you over the internet. So these services are not something you are implementing in your on premises data centers, but this is in some this is managed by the cloud providers. So what are the different cloud providers? Yeah, do you know what are the different cloud providers? So one is Azure, which is from Microsoft. You know about any other cloud provider? Any one of you?
Amazon, Google.
From
Yes,
Google,
exactly.
GCP, AWS, from Amazon,
Exactly, exactly.
like
So
so
there
many,
are,
yeah,
yeah,
CSP
yeah, there
also,
are many.
Matrix also, so many providers are
Exactly,
there.
exactly. So they are called the cloud service providers. So there are a lot of cloud providers that is, we are learning in this course, the Microsoft Azure, but there are, the Amazon AWS, then there is a Google Cloud, there is Alibaba Cloud, there are Oracle Cloud, IBM Cloud. So there are multiple cloud providers. And if you see the Gartner's report, I have not taken the screenshot of the latest Gartner report, but next time, I will show you. So if you see the leading or the who are the expert in the cloud providers, you can find the two names that are coming, that is AWS and Azure. So if you see the popularity of Azure, it's growing drastically because Azure is providing multiple the services in terms of the PaaS services. So PaaS is nothing but platform as a service. So it includes the SQL database, big data. So all the latest technologies like machine learning, AI, everything is delivered to you as a service by the Azure. Okay, that's why it's getting more popular and it's very easy. So creation and configuration of the services is very easy. There are multiple ways you can do. You can do it via portal. You can do it via PowerShell. You can do it via writing the .NET or the Java. So it is a open source. So with all the Python and everything, you can configure the stuff. That's why it's getting very popular. Then companies offering these computing services are cloud providers. So as I explained, this as Microsoft, the AWS, all these are called as the cloud providers. Typically, cloud computing services will be charged based on the usage. So a real benefit, or the important benefit out of cloud services is you will be charged for per as per your usage. So you'll not be charged for the hundreds of servers over a period of time. Okay, for example, in on-premises, if you want to deploy any application which requires 100 GB, 1 TB of disk, 8 core of CPU, and the 16 GB of RAM, then you need to approach to the hardware providers like Dell, the HP, and all. You need to procure those services, physical services, servers, which takes considerable amount of time, and you need to invest a large amount of your the budget in buying those servers, and you need to make a commitment. So these physical servers what you are buying, you need to make a commitment for the 3 years. So after 3 years there will be life cycle refresh of that hardware. So if today you decide to implement any application, you need to make the upfront the allocation of your the budget for buying those servers. And tomorrow if that application is is not required, or if that application is not is a failure, still you need to whatever you invested the money for the 3 years, still it is on you. So you cannot run away from that. But the benefit of cloud computing is, if today there is a requirement of one application which requires some sort of configuration, like you need a virtual machine with 1 TB of the storage, 16 CPU, 16 core CPU, and the 16 GB of RAM. What you can do, you can go to the Azure portal, create the Azure virtual machine with the same configuration, and once the VM is created, you will be charged per minute. Okay. Now Microsoft is also planning to the offer you per second billing as well. So if you have a requirement to run this application over a period of 1 month, you create that virtual machine, you run it for 1 month, you shut down that virtual machine or destroy that virtual machine. So you will be charged only for 1 month. So you will not have to do the upfront, or the budget allocation over a period of 3 years, or until the end of the life cycle. So this is the benefit of cloud computing. Did you understand the major benefit what we're getting with cloud computing by understanding this example? Any doubts on that?
Yeah, Mangesh.
Okay. So here, I will explain you about the benefits of cloud computing. So one benefit that we are seeing is about the cost implications. So we can save a lot of cost by properly planning the application deployment, and we by doing the commitment, or the whatever the application should be live. But the second benefit is the management of the infrastructure. So here, the focus on functionality. So when you create a VM, you are just worried about the adding of disk or configuration of VM, or the if you want to the scale the instances from 2 to 4, you will do that, but you will not be worried about the underlying data center. So in your if you are currently managing the on-premises data center, and you are the Windows administrator, if someone needs to implement any application, they will send you a request that I need one the VM with this sort of configuration. So as a Windows administrator, you need to go to the data center. You need to see if you have the physical server available for that application. If not, then you need to procure a new physical server, or if you have the VMware environment, you can you need to see the existing capacity in that the hypervisor, if it has the capacity. If not, then you need to buy out a new physical server. You need to configure the VMware hypervisor, and then you need to create a virtual machine. You need to plan out the plan on the properly for the capacity of that application. So a lot of things you need to do when you are managing the environment in the on premises. Like, you need to make sure that data center has a proper cooling, data center has the proper the you have the network cable available, you have the proper the the it's connected to the all the the L3 switches, the router is configured, everything you need to take care. So it involves your networking team and your ISP, everything. But if you want to create a VM in Azure, you simply go to portal and create a VM. You'll not be worried about the underlying infrastructure. So if you see the example, or here, let others take care of. So who is the others? Others is nothing but the cloud provider. So your Microsoft, if you're taking the services from Azure, Microsoft Azure is responsible for the resource management. Azure is responsible for security, responsible for your different environments, high availability, scalability. So if you are creating a VM, there are different services available in Azure. By that, you can enable the high availability and scalability for your virtual machine. So you will just make the use of that particular feature or services, but you will not be worried about how you will plan out those high availability or scalability. Then there is available in Azure for fault tolerance premises. If you do the disaster recovery or fault tolerance, you need to think about the different region, different data center, and then you need to create a replication. There will be a huge cost involved, but Azure has already presence in close to 60 regions. So you simply start your application of VM or any of the services to a peered region, and you can establish the disaster recovery for your application. Then you are not worried about the OS installation, licensing, or updates. Microsoft will take care about the all the whatever version of OS you want. You just select at the time of creation of VM, and that will be installed, configure, the everything. So there is no that is not a overhead on you. Also, I explained about the network. You'll not be worried about configuration of router, switches, and the maintenance. So all the rack maintenance, cooling, temperature, everything will be managed by Microsoft. So if you see here, this is your on-premises, okay? And in on-premises, if you want to create a VM, okay, first thing is you need to think about the networking, storage, what is the capacity, which servers. If it is, the virtual machine need to be created on the virtualization platform, then you need to think about, the Hyper-V or the VMware, then OS, middleware, runtime, data, application. So everything will be managed by you as an administrator. But take the example of the any of the cloud providers. So here, Microsoft Azure. So there are three types of services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and the software as a service. So in infrastructure as a service, you can consider the virtual machine, the network or storage. So everything comes in the infrastructure as a service. So here you can see whatever in green, this is managed by your vendor. So vendor is nothing but your Microsoft. In case of Azure, it's a Microsoft. So you'll not be worried about virtualization, server, storage, networking. What you'll be worried about, or taking care about the OS middleware. So if it is a IIS application, you will have configure the IES. If it is a .NET, then the runtime will be .NET. Then there will be your application data and your front end application. So you will just concentrate on the functionality. So you'll focus on the functionality as an administrator. Okay. So in infrastructure as a service, this whatever in blue, this is only the thing that you'll be managing. Whereas if you shift to the platform as a service, so platform as a service, you can take the example of the SQL database, Cosmos DB, or the Data Factory. So all these are the platform as a service. So in the platform as a service, this is mainly consumed by the developers. So if person is developing data analytics application or the database application, he will simply create a SQL database instance. Okay. So here, as a database administrator, he will just manage the data and the application on the SQL database. He will not be worried about what is the runtime. So if you see in the infrastructure service, you are still managing the runtime, middleware, and OS. But in platform as a service, you will not be creating any virtual machines or something. You are just consuming that particular service, and start developing your application. So all this, whatever in green, this is managed by the vendor, that is Microsoft. And there are certain requirements that you need to shift from platform as a service to the software as a service. So in the software as a service, you will not be worried about anything. So everything will be managed by your vendor, that is Microsoft. So you can consider the example as the Office 365. I hope you all are using the Outlook, the Skype, or the Teams that is recently upgraded, and the Office products like Excel and everything. So you can consider that as an example, or Salesforce, or the CRM. So this software is available to you. You are not be worried about whatever is underlying the infrastructure. So did you understand this part, this on-premises comparison with infrastructure, platform, software, and what is the benefit that you're getting with the cloud computing?
Mangesh, with infrastructure as a service, we will be creating the virtual machine. We'll be configuring the
Yes,
application. That everything VMware
yes,
will do. In
yes,
platform as a service, we don't create a virtual machine and all.
yes.
We'll have the OS, right?
Not OS. So if you are a SQL, the just take the example of SQL admin. If a person is a SQL DBA, SQL DBA developer, if you currently you are managing the servers in the on-premises. So if there is a requirement to create the SQL database, what that the SQL DBA will request it to you. I'm taking the example of the on-premises world. So he will say that I need a SQL database 2016, and I need the four databases in it. So what you will do, you will create a virtual machine. In that, you will install the SQL software, and then you will configure all the security and everything. On top of that, you will create the SQL database instances, and you will hand over that particular instance to your DBA admin. Okay, so this is the case of on-premises. But in Azure, when you are creating the SQL database instance, it is directly available as a platform as a service. So you don't need to create a virtual machine and install the SQL software and configure the databases. From the portal, Azure portal, you can directly create the SQL database instance. So no OS or something that is the responsibility of ours as a consumer. That will be taken care by the Azure.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Software as a service is
So
like,
these topics will be covered when we like take the individual topics from the portal. We'll be creating these respective services, and you will feel about it, like how it looks and how to configure the different PaaS services. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we already explained the benefits of cloud computing. So one is the cost. Okay, so hugely reduce capital cost. You don't need to make any commitment for the capital cost in buying the software and the hardware. You can simply consume the services, pay as you go. Then the speed. So computing resources can be provisioned in minutes. So in on-premises, you need to buy out hardware, software that will take a week's time, and then you need to raise a request to your help desk team. Then they will install the application. Then they will hand it over to you. But in cloud, you simply go to the portal, or the PowerShell, or any the any of the interfaces, and you can simply create the resources in a matter of minutes. Then scalability, computing resources can be scaled up and down within a matter of minutes. So as per your requirement, for your business requirements, you can scale up when there is a peak in demand, and you can scale down when there is the less demand. Productivity. Cloud computing takes out hardware setup patching. So as I explained, you will not be worried about this hardware and software setup. You are simply focusing on achieving your business goals. So your productivity will be increased. Reliability. Cloud computing makes data backup, DR, business continuity less expensive and faster recovery. So you can take the database, all the data backup. You can set up your disaster recovery to different regions from where you are located or your presence. You can also implement the business continuity with the help of different Azure services like load balancer, then the traffic manager. So with the help of this, you have the more reliable and the efficient solution. And then there is a security. So many cloud providers offer a broad set of policies, technologies, and controls that strengthen your security posture overall. So currently, if you see the Azure, it is compliant with all the leading standards. That each country is asking. Like Europe is asking for the GDPR, then healthcare is asking for the HIPAA. So all those retail organizations are asking for the PCI DSS. So Azure is compliant with all those standards, and Azure also provides multiple securities components like the firewall. Then you can also create the virtual appliances for the checkpoint firewall. Then all the leading security services you can configure, you can create in Azure. So in security wise, it is more secure compared to on-premises, because on-premises, if you want to create any security solution, you need to do a POC, and think about the all the plan for the security solution. But in Azure, multiple services are available, so you can play around with multiple services, see which is suiting your business requirement, and you can select. Also, there are three types of cloud. One is public, private, and hybrid. So when we say the public cloud, so Microsoft Azure, AWS, IBM, so they provide this public cloud. So what is public cloud? These are owned and operated by third-party cloud service provider, which deliver computing services such as server and storage over the internet. So as we discuss about the Azure or AWS, so these are public cloud providers. They are managed by the third party cloud service provider like Microsoft in the case of Azure. And you can the access those your resources over the internet. So these are so whatever services you're creating in the public cloud, they are accessible to you over the internet. So anyone can access it, unless the provided you have the necessary authorization to access the services. So what is private cloud? Private cloud is nothing but you can also think about private cloud as in your on-premises you are creating the VMware virtualization or Hyper-V. So there in that particular physical boxes you are creating multiple VMs, and that you can consider as a private cloud if you are providing that particular service to others of your partners. So a private cloud refers to the cloud computing resources used exclusively by a single business or organization. So this public cloud, this Azure is providing services to all the different the companies. So if I want to buy certain services, I can reach out to Azure and take the services. So similar to any startups, there will be multiple companies that this Azure is offering the services. But whereas in the private cloud, it is exclusively by a single business or organization. So your company, for example, if your company has set up all the services in the data center with the Hyper-V or VMware or the any of the private virtualization, so that you can consider it as a private cloud because your company is only consuming the services. It is not shared with the other company infrastructure. Some companies also pay third-party service providers to host their private cloud. So IBM, also Microsoft, the Azure also has the stack. So they started rolling out that stack for private cloud. So there are companies who doesn't want to go to public. So for such scenarios, you can create your own private cloud in your data center and consume it as a service. Hybrid cloud is nothing but
Private cloud is like if IBM have their own resources, they'll be using their own resources to build that, right?
yes, 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 yes.
Okay, okay.
So IBM can create a private cloud for your organization and deliver all the services from the IBM's private cloud. So it is not be available to the other organization.
It will be accessible via internet, right? To the limited people, whoever.
Internet means you need to create certain the networking, site to site VPN or the some the gateways between your private cloud and your company users.
Okay, okay, got it, got it.
Okay, hybrid cloud is a combination of public and the private cloud. So, when your company has decided, currently you are in private cloud and your company has decided to, start implementing the services or, consuming the services from the Azure. So, in that case, you can create a hybrid setup. So, part of services, are still active in private, but you started, exploring the services from the public cloud. So that setup you can call it as a hybrid. So it combines the public and the private clouds bound together by technology that allows data and application to be shared between them. So you can share your data between, for example, your web application is hosted in the Azure and your database is in your, own data center. So this web application is connecting to the database from the your own, your on-premises data center. Then this particular setup, you can consider it as a hybrid cloud. Then there are different types of services. So in my previous slide, previous slide. So here I have explained you about the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and the software as a service. So from the management point of view, what are the the different the ownership with respect to your cloud service provider and the things that you need to manage. So same things I have written over here. uh, sorry, with infrastructure as a service, you rent your IT infrastructure. So your servers, virtual machine storage, and networking and operating system from a cloud provider as a pay as you go. So infrastructure as a service, it mainly involves your storage, virtual machine storage, and the networking. Okay. Whereas the platform as a service refers to the cloud's computing services that supply an on-demand environment for developing, testing, delivering, and managing the software applications. So this is developing, any SQL or database or Cosmos, or you also have the big data solutions or the Azure, the machine learning or data analytics. So all these solutions that you are developing, you can consider it as a PaaS. So you have the respective services available in Azure to deliver such solutions. Then software as a service. So this is very simple. This is you can consider the Office 365, the Power BI, or Salesforce. So because why the software? Because you are not managing anything. You'll just getting the the Office 365 services from Microsoft, and you're just consuming the Outlook, Microsoft Teams, or or your office products like Excel. So there is no configuration involved. It is just the software that is available to you as a per user or per license basis to your users. So Microsoft, got a call. Yeah, Microsoft Azure is an ever expanding set of cloud services to help your organization meet your business challenges. So as I explained, there are close to hundreds of services. So if you go to portal, in our once we start the course, I'll be showing all the services that you can create or you can see from. The Azure portal, there are different categories like compute, storage, network, then your machine learning, data factory. So how they are categorized, so there are hundreds of services that you can consume from Azure as per your business requirement. And Azure is spread across all the global regions, so right from America to Asia to Japan, all the regions it has a presence. In India also they have three data centers in East India, West India, and Central India. There are, like I explained, there are over 70 compliance offerings, and it is being added day by day. So if you go to Azure portal, you can see, there may be a few more compliance offerings that are added. So compliance offering is nothing but, the GDPR, like I explained about the Europe region, they need to follow certain compliance. Similar to that, the healthcare, retail. So Microsoft Azure is compliant with all those compliance offerings. And if you want to see the popularity of Azure, so if you aware about the Fortune 500 companies, close to 90% of Fortune 500 companies are using the Microsoft Cloud, that is Azure. So there is a huge demand. If you see in the market, each company they required the Azure professionals and the experts. So coming time also there will be huge demand for the cloud. In that cloud, if you want to make a career in Azure, then you have a very good scope. Then, like I explained, typically cloud computing services will be charged based on the uses. So there will be pay as you go billing for all the services. So let me tell you about the expected learnings from this project. So you will start with the Azure Active Directory. If you are aware about the Active Directory in the on-premises, so similarly, there is Active Directory instance in the Azure. In that, will not required to do any the advanced configuration like in on-premises. We need to update our schema of Active Directory, do the migration, create of the tree like trust. So all this is not required. So here we'll just understand how do we secure the identities, how do we create a users group, how do we create the conditional groups, what are the different the access controls, how do we assign the permissions, how do we secure the identities, multi-factor authentication, all those things it will be covered here. In the next, we'll also learn about the subscription. So in Azure, if you want to deploy any of the services, you need to create a subscription. So subscription, inside subscription, then you will be creating the respective resource groups and the resources. So we'll understand how do we manage the subscriptions, what is the account. So there will be each accounts will be associated with the subscription. So how do we manage the subscriptions accounts? Then there are different policies. So Azure policy, you can compare with the Active Directory policy. So if you are aware about Active Directory policy, you put certain restrictions like the your user should have the certain security, the certain security standards. Similar to that, in Azure policy you can say that okay, my users, if they are deploying any application, it should go to a particular region. So certain security policies you can implement with the Azure policies. We'll be covering in detail. And the role-based access control. So how do we authorize the resources to different users? Then administer Azure using the resource manager, Azure portal, cloud share. So there are different ways that you can administer your Azure services. So we'll learn in detail, with portal, with cloud shell, with PowerShell, with the CLI, ARM templates, and the resource manager. So we'll cover everything in this particular the topic. Then the important is the networking. So how do you create and configure the virtual networks, including planning, IP addressing, then Azure DNS, network security groups, and firewall. Once we cover the basics of this virtual networking, which is for the Azure services. So the networking is very critical for all the Azure services. If you want to make that services available over the internet or secure that services from very particular segment or particular region, then once we cover that, we'll go and configure the intersite connectivity. So for example, you have the
Mangesh, if you are
Hello.
if you are going to Azure and
Mm-hmm.
if it is a new infra, then we don't need to create any domain control or anything. It will be there in your Azure infra itself, right? We just need to point there. That's what.
Yeah. So first thing is you need to create, the Microsoft managed domain. So if your domain name is abc.com. So initially, when you are setting up your domain, you will get the domain as abc.onmicrosoft.com. Okay. So that way you will create a trust. But tomorrow, if you migrated all the users, all the services to the cloud, and if you want to, make your cloud as active, then in that case you need to have your abc.com active, from your the Azure active directory. So in that case you need to create the custom domain and make your domain active from the active directory. So if you are in the hybrid phase, like you have the users in on premises in cloud, then you can keep your abc.com domain as active in on premises. But later on, if you are shifting all the way to the cloud, then you need to make your abc.com domain as active from Azure Active Directory.
See, if we have in on-premise, we have a domain that is called abc.com. And if I
Mm-hmm.
need a new server in Azure,
Yeah.
does that a new server in Azure be part of
Mm-hmm.
that abc.com domain?
Yeah, so first thing is you need to so creating a services in Azure. Okay, so for that you don't need a domain. You can simply create like Azure virtual machine and everything in the Azure. But if you want your users to authenticate with your domain credentials, then you need to sync your identities from on-premises to cloud, and then you can add it as a the user principal domain in in your on-premises as a on Microsoft.com, and then with your users they can authenticate with Active Directory, and they can log into your virtual machine. So creating a services, it's not required any domain.
Okay, okay.
Okay, is that answers or it's not clear to you?
No, no, I got it, got it. It's
Okay.
clear. Clear.
Yeah. So we will create a certain pairing. So pairing is nothing but if you want to connect your on-premises networks or applications to the Azure, then you need to create a site-to-site VPN, virtual network gateways, and the VNet pairing. So this will be the advanced topic that we'll be covering after we complete the basics of networking. Then we'll also manage the network traffic using network routing, service endpoints, load balancer. So Azure load balancer to balance your traffic, Azure application gateway to the route your web application traffic to the backend web apps with firewall rules. So this is very important. So if organization they are implementing and using this load balancer and application gateway heavily for their web applications. Then we'll implement, manage, and secure the storage account. So in Azure, if you want to store any data, you need to create a storage account. So here we'll see how do we create, manage, and secure your storage account. Then we'll also see about planning, creating, and the scaling of virtual machines. So all the virtual machines part will be covering. Then also Azure App Service. So in Azure, if you want to create a web application that is .NET based, you don't need to create a virtual machine and then install the IS and create your application. You can simply create the PaaS service. So this is a platform as a service available to you, Azure App Service. You create that app service and deploy whatever your code like Java or .NET directly onto that app service. So you will not be worried about the underlying virtual machines. So here we'll understand how do we create the app service, how do we create the container instances, Kubernetes. So this is the basics of how do we create the container instances and Kubernetes. So currently the in on-premise and used to create the physical servers. So slowly it is evolving into evolved into the virtual machines with VMware, and then it slowly evolved into the virtual machines that we are creating in the Azure. But now there is a huge demand for the creating the container instances. So you can consider the container instances is nothing but the virtualization of your operating system. So if it's a Windows 2016 servers or Windows 2019 servers, it supports the container instances. So on the OS, you can create the multiple containers for the respective applications. Okay, and so
Okay.
we'll try to create the container instances and create the Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is for managing those container instances. So this is not
Hello?
the yeah.
This Azure container instance means it's a virtual machine, huh?
No, it's a service available to you. So with that container instance, you can create different containers, and you can host your images, and you can just start consuming those container instances directly from this service. So this is not a virtual machine. This is a you can consider as a PaaS service for hosting your containers.
Can you
Okay.
explain with an example or something? I didn't get that.
So ACI, so this Azure Container Instance, you can create this container. So you need a repo, right? So if you have the containers for the Windows based application, okay. So if you write down that containers, and somewhere you need to host that container into repo. So this container instance will provide you that repo. So once you create that image for that container, from anywhere you can just call out that container and use it for your the purpose, like running the application, building the application. And so once you the process your application, you can simply disconnect that container. So it's you can compare this Azure container instances with the Docker.
Like a package of something, right?
Yeah, so container is different to the so normally when you create the virtual machine, you need to install the OS, and then then according to your roles, then you'll be installing the different roles. But containers is evolving now. So different containers. So container is the independent identity that will be shared with the underlying OS platform. So if you take the example of Linux, on Linux you can create container for your Apache, create the container for your Java, or create the container for the PHP or all different applications. So on the same OS platform, you'll be creating multiple containers. So if you understood the benefit of VMware, you can create the different virtual machines on the hypervisor. That is VMware Hyper-V. Sorry, VMware has a vSphere, right?
Yes.
Uh, Hello.
Yes, yes, got it, got it.
Yeah, yeah. So similar to that, on the OS platform, you will create the multiple containers for the the microservices this application. So if you have the e-commerce, so e-commerce has different microservices. One for your carting application, carting purpose. One for displaying your products. One for your logistics and services. So all these independent services can be deployed independently on their respective containers. Okay, so this is the microservices. Here we'll be covering the basics of that container instances and Kubernetes. So how do we create? How do we manage? But it will be covered in detail in the architect and the design courses.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So then we'll also look at the backup files, folders, and virtual machines. How do we create the backups of the the virtual machines? How do we restore it? And in the last, we'll cover the monitor of the Azure infrastructure with different features and services we have, like Azure Monitor, Azure Alerts, Log Analytics, and Network Watcher. So we will see how do we monitor the complete Azure infrastructure with this set of services. So mm, uh, so this is what the expected learning from this course. And then sorry. Yeah. So, this particular, all the learnings I had divided into the different modules. So the first module will be, in this module, we'll learn about secure identities and implement users and groups. So, this will be your tenant, and there will be different users groups, B2C users, yes, all the user accounts. And, how do we manage the domain services, identity, conditional access. So we'll be covering that in the identity module. There will be one lab to manage the Active Directory identities. So I'll provide you that lab manual, handbook, and then you can follow in your portal to try to create the scenario. So one prerequisites for attending these courses, you need to subscribe for a free trial. So Azure provides a free trial for the testing or the evaluating purpose. So you will get a credit of 13,000, and you can use it. You can use this credit for over a period of 1 month. So I think we will try to cover our course in 1 month, so that you can create this labs and create the services, and as soon as our lab is over, you can delete the services so that it will not be charged. And whatever credit that we are getting, I think 2